Diddy's cronies, such as Jay-Z, Oprah Winfrey, Kamala Harris, and others, are being exposed by Joe Rogan and 50 Cent, along with information regarding how Oprah Winfrey reportedly took advantage of her school to give Diddy children. They are also disclosing the multi-million-dollar contracts that were used to buy these people's silence. These startling facts are finally being made public.
Horrific accusations, though, involving young singers, young children.
Yeah, it's disgusting.
It's insane.
He makes R. Kelly look like a decent guy.
Yeah.
It's so crazy.
It is crazy. And meanwhile, the guy was like hanging out with Oprah, hanging out with Obama.
Jay-Z.
Everybody.
I'm sure the Clintons were there at some point.
In-depth interviews with Diddy's assault victims are illuminating the inner workings of Hollywood's largest sex trafficking organization. Diddy's closest friends are currently attempting to leave the U.S. in order to avoid being found guilty. Let's start by discussing Ellen DeGeneres, who has a reputation for being rude and coercive. Ellen has frequently featured Diddy on her show, and she and her wife, Portia de Rossi, have already departed the country following Diddy's arrest. However, the most intriguing aspect of this is that Ellen is even attempting to alter her appearance. She has since relocated to a remote location and wishes to fade into obscurity.
Ellen DeGeneres and her wife, Portia de Rossi, have reportedly fled the US bound for the UK after Donald Trump's landslide victory. Numerous publications are reporting the couple have left the United States permanently. There are also reports the couple have put their Montecito mansion on the market. Entertainment publication The Wrap has the exclusive story and said, Ellen DeGeneres and wife Portia de Rossi have moved to rural England, put their Montecito estate on the market, and plan to never return to the United States, telling friends the election of Donald Trump was their primary motivation. Ellen DeGeneres has been a vocal Trump critic, so the move doesn't come as a surprise to most.
Really bad. If you had to be stuck in an elevator with either President Trump, Mike Pence, or Jeff Sessions, who would it be?
Does one of us have to come out alive?
DeGeneres has been seen rocking a new hair color since moving to the UK. The comedian changed her signature blonde look to brunette as she was seen enjoying a night out with friends at a pub called the Farmer's Dog. Ellen went out with her wife, Portia de Rossi, and a few friends, including the Torn singer Natalie Imbruglia. Sources told TMZ earlier this week that Ellen and Portia moved to England because of Donald Trump's re-election. They have reportedly settled into their new home in the southwest region of England, but they purchased the property before the election. Hey, I guess if Ellen's got a new place, why not?
Ellen has consistently been a hypocrite, feigning to be the most compassionate person on the planet while deliberately mistreating the people she collaborated with behind the scenes. Joe Rogan said Ellen's actions appeared to have been prearranged. Allegedly, Ellen took these actions to avoid being linked to any negative associations. Her supporters continue to maintain that Ellen's detractors are all lying.
Yo, Ellen, we go so far back. You don't tell these people how far back we go.
I know, but I wear t-shirts. I don't know what that means. Anyway, all right, let's...
I mean...
You hold that.
Okay.
All right.
There's a take two of the joke didn't work.
No, it's okay.
I don't want no problem.
No, it's okay.
No, hold on. Hey, so, cheers.
Critics are examining Ellen's relationship with Diddy and exposing her nice guy image for what it is. Ellen frequently declared on live broadcast that she would attend Diddy's events, particularly his after-parties. Diddy reportedly felt so strongly about Ellen that he consented to host a party at her home. At this point, I don't believe anyone is duped by Ellen's falsehoods.
One here on the West Coast, because I work all the time.
Okay, well, maybe I have one at your house.
Where's Now, what time would your party start, let's say?
Like 9:30.
Really? That early?
Yeah.
I could make that.
Yeah.
I could think of you of starting a party at like midnight. Like what time will it go till?
That's a different type of party.
Uh-huh.
No, it'll go from like 9:30 to like maybe 3 o'clock, 3 o'clock. And then, we have the top 2 floors of the hotel. You know?
And then it will carry on there.
Yeah. No, I mean the after party.
No, I know about them.
Ellen has left the United States and is being pursued by Oprah Winfrey. Oprah has already been connected to people who have committed sexual assault. Weinstein, Harvey Oprah's closest friends were Diddy, Jeffrey Epstein, and Oprah has been embroiled in controversy for a long time. For example, in 2007, She was accused of sexually abusing children ages 12 and 13 by the teachers she worked with at the Oprah Winfrey Leadership Academy for Children in South Africa. It's important to remember that a number of these girls vanished at the same time that Oprah was spotted with Harvey Weinstein and Sean Diddy Combs.
The trial of a former dormitory matron charged with abusing 6 students at Oprah Winfrey School for Girls in South Africa is resuming. Prosecutors say former dorm matron Tina Virginia Makopo tried to kiss and fondle the girls. She's also accused of kicking and hitting some of them. Makopo pleaded innocent to 14 charges of indecent assault, and criminal injury in South Africa. Meanwhile, in Philadelphia, the ex-headmistress of the $40 million school is suing Winfrey for defamation. The suit claims someone would conclude from Winfrey's comments that the school employee knew of the alleged abuse and was actively involved in covering it up.
I was, needless to say, devastated and really shaken to my core.
Winfrey said she was disappointed in the former headmistress. The TV talk show host also made comments about students who felt there was an atmosphere of repression at the school.
And I spoke to all the girls personally, and I encouraged all of them, any of them who had actually been harmed, please come forward.
The lawsuit asked for more than $250,000 in damages. Carlotta Bradley, The Associated Press.
Oprah has spoken absolutely nothing about the Diddy problem for the 10 months following Diddy's incarceration. However, she is now attempting to disassociate herself from the problem after seeing Jay-Z's lawsuit and being aware that victims are coming out. Oprah has often used a similar strategy, making friends with pedophiles and sexual abusers, and then trying to cut ties with them once they are revealed.
Sit up straighter, right?
Yes,
back
when I hear the
table.
60 name, yes.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Oprah.
Good morning,
Good
Jeff,
morning.
Nora.
So glad to
Hi.
have you here.
Glad to be back at the table.
No, we're glad to have you at the table. Do you want to start with Bruce just to say you were up late because you went to go see Bruce?
Well,
last night?
we were just talking about, saw Bruce
Yeah.
Springsteen last night, and every time I think about it, I'm tearing up because it was the most searingly beautiful performance I've ever seen a person give.
He was so
on
raw.
stage. It was so raw,
So personal.
pure. You come away feeling more like a human being.
Oh, this is a
yourself.
one-person show.
Well, yes, it's called Bruce.
and Jeff, he doesn't want you to sing, which is very
Yes,
hard. He
but
doesn't
no,
want you to sing. But
It's so
you gotta
stir.
sit
I
there
feel
and
like
take
my
it in.
soul has been stirred and now wants to rise. I mean, wasn't that moving?
He'd be good for a Super Soul Sunday.
He'd be good for
conversation.
anything.
But,
Really,
but let's talk
conversation.
about your book, The Wisdom of Sundays, because I thought it was interesting that you said without Gary Zukav, there probably wouldn't be a Super Soul Sunday. You said
Yes.
the Oprah Winfrey Show might not have been on for 25 years because he taught you about
Intention. Many
favorite
years
word.
ago, I started doing these spiritual conversations for which my producers are all like, oh, good, we have to talk the spirituality thing.
Yes.
And Gary Zukav was on with his book, Seed of the Soul. And it was my intention to make that book #1 on the bestsellers list so that it could become like the Road Less Traveled. Because I watched the booksellers list for years. Remember when the Road Less Traveled was on for 8 years in a row?
Yes. Yeah.
So I wanted the Seed of the Soul to become the next, offering. And there was something he said in that book about intention, how we all know that what you put out is coming back, but even before what you put out is coming back, there is an intention behind what you put out. So I use that principle of intention actually for every one of my shows since 1989. I would sit with the producers and say, when you present an idea to me, come clear and be clear about what your intention is, and I have to find my intention within yours in order to sit in the seat and to do the interview. So those principles of living your life with a sense of integrity, with a sense of intention, with a sense of gratitude, learning to forgive people for the mistakes that they've made and you've made, have really helped me lead a more meaningful life. So I've interviewed all these thousands, hundreds of people, not thousands, hundreds of people, feels like thousands, but hundreds of people, and had my own aha moments in the middle of it. So this book.
Don't you love when you have an aha moment?
I just love when that happens.
Yeah.
Speaking of aha moments, I had an aha moment reading this because you talk about spirituality. Most people think of a spirit like God.
Yes.
As the spirit. And you described too about finding that spirit is here.
Yes.
Not outside.
Because all of us are seeking, what I say is all of us are seeking the same thing. We share this desire to fulfill the highest expression of truth in ourselves. And that's what spirituality means to me. It's the essence of who you are. You know, I was actually having a conversation years ago with Carolyn Mace, who wrote a book called Anatomy of Spirit, and I could see that the audience was dying on me. You know, the people start doing this, and
their eyes are glazing
over. And I stopped the show, taping the show, and said, "Do you all? Hey, you're not tracking here." And they said, "We don't know what you mean by spirit. Are you talking about?"
Because I think of the Holy
Spirit. That's what they said. Are you talking about Moses? Are you talking about the disciples? What are you? No, I said, you know, you have a mind, you have a body, and you have a spirit. So I think to nurture all three, which is what I really work at all the time, is important. And that's what this book is all about.
I like that.
And you know, we have podcasts now. Not only podcasts, but 10 million people have downloaded those podcasts.
I was going to say, I heard your podcasts are doing well.
Yes, and I just love the idea that people are listening to calming, peaceful information that makes their lives better on the way to work or when they're working out and whatever.
Can we talk about this concept of disease? It's a little bit of what Tony Robbins was talking about when he talked about being spontaneous and not just trying to act the way you think you're supposed to act, but the disease to please.
Well, you ain't got that disease no more.
I don't have it anymore, but I had it for years. Yeah. That whole, you know, my biggest problem was learning to say no.
Why didn't Oprah speak up before Diddy was imprisoned or Jay-Z was sued? Oprah is infamous for lying, and she has previously been caught for lying about collecting millions of dollars in exchange for her aid.
Not talking about the election.
Oh, is it true that they paid you $1 million for the endorsement for Kamala?
Not true.
Not true, okay. What do you think about all the celebrities with their mass exodus? Do you think Prince Harry's gonna lose his visa now that Trump's president? Thank you, Oprah.
But her denials were debunked by FAC filings showing two payments of $500,000 to Oprah's company. This commentator said Oprah Winfrey was asked if she got paid for her endorsement of Kamala Harris. Winfrey denied ever being paid, but FEC filings says she receives two payments of $500K each. Why is she lying? This commentator slammed Oprah, saying, "Why would Harris pay someone to endorse her? And if you're Oprah, why do you need another $1 million? For God's sake, give it to a food bank or people in need." There is just such a rot in American campaign money, celebrity, and how it's spent. I am so grossed out by this.
The allegations and Jay-Z's response to the case. Thank you for joining us this morning.
Oh, thanks for having me, as always.
Okay, so let's talk about the claims in this lawsuit and Sean Carter's strong response to it.
Well, the claims are very serious. They're allegations of sexual assault involving a 13-year-old. And Jay-Z came out swinging. He issued a blistering response. It seemed like it was written by himself personally. It didn't appear to be something that was written by a lawyer or his PR team.
And Nima, Carter is asking that the plaintiff's identity be revealed and that a criminal complaint be filed. Now, would a judge grant this request if the alleged victim was a minor at the time? And would this prevent other victims from coming forward?
Well, we're used to California, where under California law, you can proceed as a Jane Doe if you're the victim of sexual abuse, especially as a minor. But the federal rules are different, and there's no federal rule that specifically allows for anonymity. Now, it's up to the judge. They can allow it, but oftentimes they have to balance the needs of the victim to remain anonymous with the defense argument that court proceedings are public and they need to defend their case. And we've seen it in these other civil lawsuits where the identity of victims have been unmasked in federal cases in New York. So I expect that to be the case. And there is a strategic reason as well. Jay-Z and other defendants think that this may dissuade other victims from coming forward. So this is as much for the courtroom as the court of public opinion.
And the lawyer who filed the case says he's open to filing a criminal complaint. Would a lawyer go this far against a big-name celebrity if they didn't have proof of the claims? And you brought up the court of public opinion. This is making people feel like, well, there must be something to it if a lawyer's taking up the case.
Well, this can really go one of two ways. First, I'll talk about the criminal complaint. That's a little bit of a red herring because the statute of limitations on a criminal prosecution may have run in New York. Back when these allegations happened, it was as little as 5 years. Now, that recently changed, but changes to the statute of limitations in criminal cases can't be retroactive. That means that it would violate the ex post facto clause of the Constitution. But civil claims can. That's what you see in states like New York and California, where the legislature has opened the statute of limitations for civil lawsuits. So that's that. Now, as far as Jay-Z is concerned, this can really go one of two ways. This might be an isolated one-off case that he has to defend, Or potentially it could be a Me Too type situation where other victims come forward. Obviously, we saw that with Diddy and Cassie Ventura. So the coming days and weeks are really going to be telling. And Tony Busby says he has more than 100, maybe up to 300 victims he's representing. So it's going to be interesting to see if any of them also name Jay-Z.
While J-Lo and Oprah Ellen Ashton Kutcher have been silent about Diddy, other celebrities, like his 50 Cent and Jamie Foxx, have expressed their thoughts on his shenanigans in his most recent Netflix special. In 2022, Jamie Foxx also accused Diddy of drugging him and sending him to the hospital. Jamie became the victim as he spoke out against Diddy. A few days ago, Jamie Foxx and his family were eating at a restaurant when an unidentified guy viciously attacked them. According to recent accounts, the individual was there under Diddy's instructions and kept silent because the incident required sutures.
Jamie Foxx is speaking out after being injured during a confrontation at his birthday dinner, a day after the Oscar winner was allegedly involved in a physical altercation with an unidentified person, resulting in him needing to get stitches. The 57-year-old takes to Instagram on December 14th to address the situation and thank fans for their support. Jamie first shares a simple message on his feed that reads, "The devil is busy, but I'm too blessed to be stressed." He then writes in the caption of the post, "The devil is a lie. Can't win here. Thank you to everybody that pray and check on me. When your light is shining bright, they try to bring you darkness, but they don't know that you're built for it. The lights have been shining bright." On December 13th, the great actor was celebrating turning 57 with his family at a restaurant in Beverly Hills, when things reportedly took a turn. A rep for the actor told NBC News at the time, Jamie Foxx was at his birthday dinner when someone from another table threw a glass that hit him in the mouth. He had to get stitches and is recovering. The police were called and the matter is now in law enforcement's hands. The Beverly Hills Police Department also released a statement to NBC News explaining that at about 10 p.m., officers responded to a reported possible assault with a deadly weapon at Mr. Chow. The statement reads in part, "Upon investigation, officers determined that the reported assault with a deadly weapon was unfounded. Instead, the incident involved a physical altercation between parties. The BHPD conducted a preliminary investigation and completed a report documenting the battery. No arrests were made." TMZ reported that Jamie had already left the restaurant when the police arrived at the scene. The incident took place more than a year after the actor was hospitalized for another ailment, which he confirmed on his new Netflix special. What had happened was to have been a brain bleed that turned into a stroke. As he told the crowd during the special, April 11th, "I was having a bad headache, and I asked my boy for an aspirin. I realized quickly that when you're in a medical emergency, your boys don't know what the to do. Before I could get the aspirin, I went out. I don't remember 20 days. And following his hemorrhagic stroke, the 57-year-old underwent surgery and later had to relearn skills like walking and talking. But through it all, Jamie credits his family, which includes his sister as well as his daughters, Corinne Foxx and Annalisa Bishop, for keeping his condition private. As he said, holding back tears, "They didn't want you to see me like that, and I didn't want you to see me like that. I want you to see me like this."
For exclusive interviews with the victims of Diddy's abuse, the public is made aware of another celebrity who was connected to Diddy. Jay-Z allegedly took part in the 2000 rape of a 13-year-old minor in New York City during an MTV Video Music Awards after party, according to a CNN exclusive. Specific details on Diddy, Jay-Z, and other celebrities who attended the party are included in the minor.
You should always advocate for yourself and be a voice for yourself. You should never let what somebody else did run your life.
A 38-year-old mother from Alabama who has filed a lawsuit accusing Sean Diddy Combs and Jay-Z of raping her when she was 13 years old is speaking out to NBC News for the first time. She asked us not to reveal her identity.
What made you want to come forward and talk today?
Because I think that I've been quiet long enough about what I've been through, and it's been hard enough to be quiet, but it's a chapter of my life that I'd like to close.
An NBC News review of her account found inconsistencies with her allegations. She says that she went to the MTV Video Music Awards in 2000 to catch a glimpse of her favorite celebrities.
You weren't scared to be all alone?
No, with having autism, is like feeling like you live your life in a shatterproof juggle ball. The world's on fire. The fire is inside the ball with you, but there's no way for you to get out.
In addition to having autism, the woman says she suffered a head injury. The night of the 2000s VMAs, she says a friend drove her from Rochester, New York to Manhattan, a more than 5-hour drive. Her attorney provided NBC News with the name of the friend who has since died. The woman says she spoke to Combs's limo driver, who offered her a ride to an after party.
I stumbled upon Diddy's driver, who told me that I was exactly what Diddy was looking for.
What did you think when he said that to you?
I thought it meant that I was just pretty.
She went to a White House, she says, where she spoke to musicians Benji Madden and his brother.
I'm talking to Benji Madden about his tattoo because, you know, I have about his tattoo that's the Last Supper because I have a religious background. So it was just something to talk about.
In a statement to NBC News, a representative of the Maddens confirmed that they did not attend the 2000 VMAs and that they were on tour in the Midwest at the time. At the after party, she says she had a drink that made her feel woozy. Then she says Combs and Carter took turns raping her while a female celebrity watched.
JC comes in and rapes me. He at that point I was fighting, trying to get away from him, and he put his hand over my mouth and told me to stop it, cut the
After the alleged rape, she says she ran to a gas station where she called her father, who picked her up and drove her home.
We rode home in silence. He didn't ask me what happened. He didn't ask me.
As we learn more about this narrative, we see that Diddy was never operating alone. He had a network of celebrities that allowed him to conduct abuse, and without them, he could never have succeeded. The FBI has already identified everyone who attended Diddy's parties, but because of the people Diddy was connected to, Obama, Trump, and even British royalty, Jay-Z and the CEO of Abercrombie & Fitch are already being charged with rape and sex trafficking, and more defendants will be added to the case shortly. In the past, witnesses have stated that Diddy was abusing his workers and that the minors were drugged to prevent them from protesting. These statistics are frightening and provide a horrifying image of our country's leaders. It is conceivable that the list of those implicated will never be made public.
And those statements include descriptions of what the witness says he saw on those tapes. So I asked him about that, and he answered what he could, given the limitations imposed on him after testifying before the grand jury. Out of those 8 videos, 8 celebrities, 6 men and 2 women, how many of those 8 celebrities were close to being underage or potentially underage?
2 males.
2 males. And of those 8 celebrities, how many of them were intoxicated or under the influence of drugs?
This is going to be all speculation. I just want to preface it by he wouldn't know if they were. Right.
Sure.
Appeared to
Let
be
me rephrase
right,
it.
Based on, yes.
Understand. Out of the 8 celebrities who were recorded having intimate relations with Sean Combs, how many of them appeared to be either inebriated or intoxicated or under the influence?
All of them. All of them.
Out of those 8, how many appeared to be potentially victimized? How many might have been victimizing?
I think all, to be honest, all.
Were victims
They
or
victims.
were perpetrating?
Victims.
They were all 8 were victimized.
Yeah.
Meaning this was happening to them and they were inebriated.
Right. Not knowing, I guess, how much proof it was in it, what they was doing.
And of those 8, how many seemed to be potentially minors?
2 to 3, possibly 3.
The case's attorney, Tony Busby, has already declared his intention to hold all those responsible for these heinous killings accountable. Approximately 300 victims are reportedly ready to come forward, and each one has supporting police and medical documents. As young as 9 years old were among the accused victims in the latest allegations against Diddy.
We intend to name people in these lawsuits. We're not going to do it in interviews. We're not going to do it
without doing our due diligence, because obviously, these types of allegations are very hurtful to people if they're not true, and very hurtful, frankly, if they are true. But if they're true, you shouldn't have been in the room and you shouldn't have been participating. So I anticipate that we're going to start filing lawsuits, and it may not be big names at first, but we have a long list of names. And you might imagine in situations like this, that when a victim tells us that this person was in the room or this person participated, we want to do as much due diligence as humanly possible before we file that case. Because in the United States, in almost every state, public filings are in fact public. And, when you name somebody in a lawsuit, the press is going to pick it up, and we're aware of that. So we're going to make sure that we dot our I's and cross our T's. And I expect that there will be some people named in these lawsuits that will raise some eyebrows.
Disclosing the victim's name, you probably know that depending on the age of the victim, you can file these individual cases, under Jane Doe or John Doe. Each state is different in that respect. Typically, there is a balancing test, like the public's right to know the name of the victim and plaintiff versus the confidentiality and the safety of the plaintiff. So we'll have to struggle with that with each one of these cases. Our intention, of course, is to, like we always do, file these cases under a pseudonym until the court tells us otherwise. But let me share with you a few, just kind of give you a sense of the kind of cases and the kind of instances that people are calling and reporting that we are trying to corroborate, vet, and these are the ones that we've already corroborated, vetted, and collected evidence on. One individual who was 22 years at the time she was assaulted said that the typical MO at one of these parties that have been widely discussed in the press was that when you were handed a drink, and now we know that the drink is laced with something, if you refused to drink it, you were kicked out of the party. Now let that sink in for a minute. I mean, the admission to this party was that you had to drink the chosen drink that was handed to you. And now we know that in most cases, I would say 90% of the cases, these individuals were drugged with some sort of drug. That was kind of the MO. Another instance, this individual who was 9 years old at the time was taken to an audition in New York City with Bad Boy Records. Other boys were there to audition as well. All of them were trying to land a record deal. All of them were minors. This individual was sexually abused, allegedly by Sean Combs and several other people at the studio in the promise to both his parents and to him himself of getting a record deal. Another instance, another minor, told allegedly by Sean Combs that he would make him a star, but he needed to visit with him in private about it, away from his parents. Once they were in a private area, allegedly Mr. Combs made the victim perform oral sex upon him. Another incident, an individual 15 years old at the time, flown to New York City to attend a party, was drugged, and then taken into a private room, allegedly in the presence of Mr. Combs, where this female individual, minor, was raped, and then other individuals took turns raping her.
However, the issue still stands. How deep is this? Do many more names exist? Please share your thoughts in the comments section below.